Hey everybody, this is Jason Fabok from Ghost Machine Productions, and you're watching the Bat Fanatic podcast. Check out Ghost Machine, some of our new books that we're doing. We got a big launch coming up in April with Rook, Redcoat, and Geiger, all new books, things that I think comic book fans will really love. So check us out, and thanks for watching.
Listen up, Gotham.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Buttons. It's me, Harley Quinn.
This is Batman.
This is Robin.
Tune into the Bat Fanatic podcast.
The Bat Fan Addict Podcast.
The Bat Fanatic Podcast. The Bat Fanatic Podcast with Sammy Warm Hands.
With Sammy Warm Hands.
The Bat Fanatic Podcast. Bat Fanatic Podcast.
Although, Sam, you might think about changing the name.
Hey everybody, it's the Dark Knight of Rap, Sammy Warm Hands, and this is the Bat Fanatic Podcast. I am joined by my new co-hosts, Slam Dunk Dave and Grandpa Batman, and we are going to do our second video episode and our second full Comic-Con review. I'd like to shout out our sponsor, longtime friend, the Nando Knight from TNK Comics and Collectibles. You can follow on Instagram for claim sales at the Nando Knight. That's KNIGHT. Or on shortboxed.com/TNK Comics. And again, today we are breaking down the most epic con I've ever seen, MegaCon Orlando. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. Good, man. I'm glad you guys had a great time. I had a big feeling of FOMO watching you guys enjoy Orlando.
No FOMO, huh? No.
I'm just recovering. That's all. The pre-con blues is a real thing, guys, and I think we'll talk about it. Post-con
in this case.
Yeah, that's how tired I am.
Yeah, I think I
don't know from pre and post.
So far, this is 2 for 2. We're making a tradition that Dave is sick on the show.
Again, sorry guys, I'm drinking some tea here, some ginger turmeric.
But I'm not in a mask, so I mean, you know,
things have changed.
That's true. You've at least thawed out. Your tissue is regaining circulation. You know,
right?
Yeah, all good things, I think. But yeah, I flew all the way to the other side of the country, the furthest away I've ever gone for a show. My first East Coast con.
To the peninsula.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing about that too is it just didn't feel any different. Like February in Orlando feels like the West Coast. It's like 70 degrees. It's sunny. You know, you got trees like California. And
I was about to ask. I mean, because the last con you went to was a blizzard. I was like, snowing in Orlando.
It was a little different.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a little different.
Yeah, but it was totally fine. And we were just like, this is. I mean, I can imagine being there in the summertime would be brutal, but it was just very strange. Like we traveled all this way, and felt like we didn't go anywhere, kind of, you know?
Was that your first time being in Florida?
Yeah, first time in Florida, 100%.
I had just gone to Florida, I think it was in November, for a little, vacation. First time taking a vacation in like 3 years. My wife and I went to Fort Lauderdale, which is just north of Miami. So Orlando is like in the middle of the state, right? It's kind of about 3 hours from Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Fort Lauderdale, it's right on the beach. It was blazing hot and
in November.
Yes, and this is like kind of start of their when all the snowbirds from New York start coming down.
Right.
Everyone I met down there was from New York. Everyone, the
people that all the mobsters in hiding.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, on the beach, I mean, it was hot. The T-shirt that I wore, the cotton T-shirt that I wore, by the time we were walking around, I was like, I'm about to lose this thing because it is so humid. I'm just sweating to death. Orlando, I was watching a football game at the same time that we were down there. The game was being played in Orlando. It was like a monsoon. And that's literally 2.5 hours, 3 hours away. And I mean, it's just raining cats and dogs. And over here on the coast, nice, sunny, hot, just beautiful weather. I was like, wow, that's really crazy. But anyway, back to your blizzard story.
Yeah, I didn't expect the weather to be any threat to us more than the people, because every story I've ever read about Florida is like, Florida man executes with flamethrower his entire family. It's like, whoa, holy shit, man. And so we were like,
Florida man buys a bag of chips, executes his entire family. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, this was another trip I mentioned before on Dave's show, Everything Batman podcast, that my favorite con of last year was GalaxyCon Austin, because I got to go with my wife, and it's totally different than all the solo trips that I go to. And she was gracious enough to join me again on this trip. So just wanted to shout her out and say thanks for making this possible. It was also, I'd have people making a point to not just talk to me while she's fucking standing there holding my shit or something like that, which is very nice. You get to learn about a creator's true character, when he's making sure to make time for even the person who's not there for him. But yeah, dude, we had a great time. We did 3 days of con, 3 days of Disney and Universal and all that shit.
Wow.
And so we had, basically it was 2.5 days, and we kind of split the middle day. So we did all my shit, then we did all her shit, and it was fucking brutal, and we're both dead. And it was crazy, but worth it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
You're a lucky man.
That's a thing. Yeah, man. The fact that she could deal with that and you deal with whatever she wanted to do, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And
because my wife would never go near a con ever. The only time I've ever gotten her to go close to a con was when
that picture
what's his
happened.
name? The guys from The Walking Dead, the guy that plays Daryl Dixon, George Reed or Norman Reedus, and Negan. What's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
The comedian.
They came to do a photo shoot. That's the only time that she ever was interested and waited in line for that photo shoot. But other than that, she's like, nope. Sorry.
Yeah, see, with us, it's a little different because, she loves going to all the movies, right? We always went to premiere night all the way back to the first Spider-Man, maybe even the first X-Men, because we were together back then.
Oh, nice.
And so we've been doing that forever. It used to be midnight premieres. You wait in line, you do the whole thing. And when they started a Comic-Con in Eugene, Oregon, where I'm from, it was like 2015, something like that. And they're small, nothing too remarkable. But we would go, and it happened to land on her birthday each year. And so we went the first 3 years, and then they stopped doing it. But once I started branching out and going to other cities and bigger shows, there was always kind of well, would you ever want to come along? I don't know. And it's like, dude, this one's going to be fucking major. What do you think? And yeah, she made it happen. But I actually met a ton, and this is what I want to talk about off the top, is I met a ton of online friends. We're all online friends. And the one I was most looking forward to is a certain guy who gets around to a lot of shows. You might know him. Right there, Everything Batman himself. And so, yeah. How crazy after all these years.
Yeah, it's kind of like we knew each other already, which we did, but it's like it didn't feel like the first time, right? It was kind of weird. Although the shock value of realizing how tall I am always surprises everyone.
I mean, I expected it at this point, but it's weird because you're meeting somebody, but at the same time with you and me, there was so much familiarity that it almost didn't feel like it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And it was I was like, all right, cool. All right, buddy. I got to keep on going. I'll see you later.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I'm dropping these books off. I got to get back to work. See you, man.
Here's what's funny about Dave is that he came to Dallas last year for the first time, right?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. he knew more people there than I did. Everyone knew, and I'm like, I'm from here, but he knew everybody. Dave has that talent, and it is a talent where he's just super nice and super recognizable, and everybody knows Dave, and it's just like, wow,
I'm just really lucky to be surrounded by good people, and you reciprocate that. That's all it really is. And
it was the Backstreet Boys T-shirt.
The Backstreet Boys T-shirt last year, man, that was a hit. I had no idea.
I was expecting to see that in your MegaCon photos.
Well, no, I was like, because I was trying to figure out what shirt to buy for MegaCon, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go regular and just chill.
I'd have to blur that one out if we took that picture. I think I'd remove that. It'd be a little redacted mark there. I'd lose my punk cred if you were wearing that one.
I think after this, I'm gonna start wearing, shirts according to the con that I'm going to. If I go to C2E2, I gotta wear some Jordan shirts, right? If I go to Dallas, we'll figure it out. But MegaCon, I just whatever I felt like wearing, like my favorite hoodie.
Yeah, there you go.
Always.
See, I had to come wearing my Fabok Three Jokers shirt because had to represent for that. But we were talking about being surrounded by good people, and I have to say, literally, that's what we did. Because I had the 4-day pass, which got us in to the 2-hour early preview or whatever on Thursday, and so I'm in line, and it's my friend Eric who told me a little rumor early on. I think Fabok's going to be at MegaCon next. And I'm like, I bought my tickets. Let's fucking go. Right. So I see Eric in line right away. And, we're chatting. I see another good friend who I met on Dave's podcast recently, and we just hit it off, who is like the true MVP of MegaCon this year. And that is Mike the Sig
goes
Slayer.
In, man.
My God. And we saw each other, like, I ran into you a bit at the con, but like me and Mike were hitting all the same places over and over again.
Yeah, well, you guys were on Artist Alley the entire time. I'm over here. God knows where I was.
Yeah, and so
I was following balloons.
Yeah, me and Mike were hitting it hard, and giving each other little tips and trading books and stuff like that, and really making it happen. And I left that going like, man, I wish I could go to every con with my wife and with Mike, because I got so much shit done just by having the extra help,
Yeah, you feel like you got a team.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes, I mean,
that's the best thing, man, to have a team.
Yeah.
And like the first 3 of us in that line was literally me, Mike, and Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like Mike's friends showed up too. And I was like, how fucking weird that I literally know. And then Dave walked up. I was like, I'm in a state I've never been before. And I've met like 4 people that I know online in the first like 30 minutes or something.
And you got a crew.
Yeah.
That's the thing, was like when that happens, it's like
we roll deep.
I was in the crane line first. And that line, the first like 9 people I knew, and I'm like, all right, let me just stand back. You're like, oh, Dave, just sit over here. I was like, nah, I was sit over here. And then I was like, I gotta go see Sammy. And the moment I was done with that, I saw you, and then we all crossed paths. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is what the con experience is about. When you know enough people where when you meet one person, you see everyone else, and everyone's kind of like attacking things, especially on a Thursday, the first day.
Yeah.
The first day is key to the entire con of getting the most things possible done.
And luckily we're all recognizable, because it would be so hard to find anyone in all those fucking things. But I got my fucking, the bald guy with the color hair. You're the tallest motherfucker. Mike's almost the tallest motherfucker.
Yeah, and Mike's tall, man.
And he had that towel over his shoulder too, so you could always
he puts the work in.
The white towel. Yeah, man. Me too.
Brought his own towel.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
shout out to Mike, man. Mike put so much work in. I hit him up for a couple of signatures on Saturday.
Yeah,
he took care of me, and I was just like, yo, how? Like, I'm questioning how he does it, because like I'm capable of a lot, but Mike, man, Mike has the end, man. And you know what? I always say it, guys. find your crew. Find your crew, and you're capable of so much more at a con.
Yeah, and check out Stash Wars, his YouTube podcast. It's amazing, really well edited, and like really really cool shit. Another guy, speaking of YouTube, that we got to meet in person finally was Chris Michael, Batman statue collector.
Nice.
Who had you met him before, Dave? You know him?
Oh man, I got so many pictures with Chris. Chris is trying to buy some of my prelims.
Oh, the Sean Murphy.
Yeah, I love Chris, man. Every time a con comes up, Chris and I contact each other to see if we're going to meet up.
Nice.
Again, such a great dude, man. Just great energy. He's also a fan of the arts, so he buys some pieces sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, and we have very similar taste in art. Like he was always a statue guy, or he had this like wall of graded Three Jokers books and stuff. But like, in the last year, he's gone in on original art, and everything he gets is like, dude, that's my favorite guy, man.
Yeah, I'm responsible for some of the pieces he bought. Because I'm like, oh, wait, you like Two-Face? Let's go over here. And he bought like a Jorge Menez Javi Fernandez piece at Dallas last year. And I was like, oops. Sorry.
Wait, didn't you also introduce him to Bulletproof Comics and some of that original Gabriel Dell'Otto?
He bought a Dell'Otto piece there too.
Because he goes to, I see him at a lot of the Dallas conventions.
Yeah, he's always at Dallas. He's really close to Dallas. Yeah, he's again, great dude, great energy, amazing YouTube following, and what he does with YouTube with all the statues and stuff, man. Great dude, man. And for those of you, give him a follow. He's a Batman statue collector. Again, he has a crew of people always with him. Sometimes he's a son with him taking pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just great energy. And someone that you want on your side.
Yeah. And some other folks that I met that I followed online for a long time. This one was actually for the second or third time, if you count. Met her on multiple days. But Allison Tabitha was there in the cosplay area. We met her as Captain Jack the first day, which is fucking disorienting, honestly, when you talk to her and her voice comes out of that face.
Yeah.
It's really wild to see because she's such, a chameleon with her makeup transformations. But so that was rad. Had to get the wife in on that one. And then met some folks that Dave was rolling with, which I was never really able to link up as much as I tried. But we were sitting down by the escalators, taking a break, and my wife goes, I think that's the Supergirl you were looking for. And it was Lisa Mancini was walking by, and Lainey was literally running behind her. And so, finally got to meet these two again that I've been following for super long time.
Girls.
And great, like the fact that, my wife jokes like, hey, it's your dream come true right there. I'm like, but like, it's one thing to meet the cosplayer doing like a different character. Like I mentioned, Allison was first doing Captain Jack and that's cool. But we want to go back and get the picture as Wonder Woman because that's what you know her for,
Yeah.
And so to have randomly caught both of them at the same time, both in Supergirl, I was like, yes, mission accomplished,
That was the afternoon, right? Was it Friday?
Yeah, I think it was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, because like that day was nuts. I think Lainey and I were doing a signing over at the Zerty booth, and I think at one point Lainey walked away to use the restroom, and then like Lisa found me, and I was like, "Hey, we need to go sit over there," because we were doing a Whatnot live stream.
Yeah.
So it was like Lisa jumped into the Whatnot, and she had no idea she was in it. And she's like, yeah, people confuse me as Lainey sometimes. So when I go to cons, people are like, oh my God, you Lainey? I'm like, no, I'm Lisa. And that thing happened. And they both saw each other for the first time that day.
Oh, they didn't know each other before?
No, they know each other. But for that day.
Oh, okay.
They planned that for that day, and then they saw each other that day, and I recorded that. I have to post it later eventually. But it was funny because it was like Lainey had no idea that Lisa was sitting in her chair until she came back, and of course the evil twin.
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, "Which one do you like better? Do you like Supergirl or like Dark Supergirl?" And I'm like, "Don't put me in this fucking situation."
Yeah, I was lucky to get through the signing, man. That was a hell of a line over there for her and Zerdy.
Yeah, it was insane. It's funny because like you see Zerdy, everyone enjoys his art. His following doesn't reflect the amount of people that like show up for his art. And then you have
Yeah,
Lainey there,
I was surprised.
and then Lainey, of course, has the following. And I was her manager slash bodyguard slash like friend slash scooter buddy
Chaperone.
slash chaperone slash whatever. Whatever Lainey needed me to be, I was there for it. But it was fun doing that, man. Friday was a good time, and I'm happy you found them because after that, I kept on crossing paths with them randomly. Like after the sign, it was like after 3 p.m. I was like, oh, I'm walking over here to do this. I crossed paths with them. Then I went around the con and went outside. I came back in. I crossed paths with them, and I'm like, what the hell, guys? Get the hell away from me! And I'm sure you saw them kind of within that time period.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I would be looking at your stories and like, where are these guys at right now? You know, and like we would just never really run into each other.
Yeah.
And then me and Mike are just bumping into each other constantly, even in other parts of the building. Like we were walking out for the day, and I just hear, "Hey, Sammy," and it was like, "Oh, hey, he's in the food court. Let's hang. What's up?"
That's awesome.
But yeah, a couple more cosplayers I ran into. A friend of mine on here. She goes by Orange Solar System on Instagram. Her name's Kayla. Great Harley cosplayer. I was in line to meet Allison again, and I was one away. And I had my wife and I were both just keeping an eye out. So I was like, I know Kayla's going to be there as Squad Harley. Liz Wonder's going to be there as Wonder Woman. Nina's going to be there as Birds of Prey Harley.
Yep.
I got all these that I'm just looking for. And so we're in line, we're one away, and I'm like, oh shit, I think that's her. And so I ran out of line, was like, hey, nice to meet you. I'll be right back. So
That's awesome.
I was definitely trying to squeeze in the photos wherever I could. Also ran into probably one of my earliest friends from the Bat Fanatic IG, which was Gotham Dark Fox Love.
Oh yeah,
aka Tabitha. She came up to me right after I saw you in the first day in that line. She recognized me and was in plain clothes, and then she came back the next day as Catwoman here.
That's awesome.
And yeah, man, like I don't know if you guys follow her, but she's got like every comic book T-shirt ever. Like,
yeah, she's dedicated, man. She's one of those that's like she could jump in the podcast and talk with any one of us. Like she's in it. I met her on Saturday. She was
nice.
She was Red Hood, and we made sure we were messaging each other back and forth. I was like, listen, if I don't meet you during this con, I'm never going to see you. Like that's let's make sure we meet each other. She's amazing follower of both of us, and overall just total nerd up there with all of us. She knows all the Batman stuff. Just and she really enjoys the cosplay community. Such a sweet human being.
Yeah, she's very supportive.
Yeah.
And then Dave sent me a bunch of his own pictures from the con. So let's go through here. This is an interesting one. And we saw this in person, my wife and I. This is a mashup of Taylor Swift and Dobby. Is that right?
I saw this and I was like, yo, can y'all stop and take a picture real quick? Because like this is it. Like
I would love to know who this is and why.
Well, all jokes aside, like I know some people who are major Taylor Swift fans. And
my wife,
Harry
one
Potter,
of them.
And Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So it was like it just worked. And in the craziest way, in whatever the universe we live in, it worked. So I took a picture of it and sent it to numerous people. And they were like, oh my God, how adorable. And I was like, I know. I saw them.
That looks just like the picture of my wife and I from earlier, right there.
You need to calm down.
All right, let's see what else you got here. This is from the Laney and Zerdy signing.
Oh yeah, that was during the Whatnot stream, kind of inception.
Yeah, I like that shot.
Again, like all jokes aside, Zerdy, shout out to Zerdy and his team, man. They do a great job out there. Normally, Zerdy, when he signs at New York Comic Con, he's with Unknown Comics. But at MegaCon, he was doing his own booth, still representing Unknown. Did a great job having Laney over. For those who don't know, Laney is his cover model for most of his comics.
Reference model.
Yeah, reference model. So we used, they had a Whatnot stream on Friday. It was supposed to be from 1 to 2, Laney themed. So it was just pretty much selling any comic books that she was referenced with. And ended up being 1 to 4. So I stood in the same spot for 3 hours, and as they sat down and did whatever, I was just, there we go. As I sat down, everyone was like, "You've been standing in the same spot for 3 hours. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm perfectly fine, man. I'm used to this. This. I love the con life.
Yeah.
I don't have to walk the aisles. I can stand in a spot too, you know."
Nah, see, that's the hardest thing is the lines were what killed us, because the walking is like, all right, I can get over this, but
Little
just the
stretch.
standing still was brutal, man. But here's another great shot of you guys together.
So during this, obviously I had the similar shot with Susie back in Dallas.
This is your tradition at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to make this a regular thing now. It's kind of fun. But it was like, there was actually, the person who took the picture was, there was a point where I yelled no, and I legit held it, and I was like, no. But they
The
cut
Crisis
that.
of Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I was trying to give a full homage to George Perez cover.
Yeah.
And it wasn't captured. I didn't realize it till later on. But you know what? Smiling me is similar enough. So I'm happy with what I got done here.
Man, we missed the opportunity to have your wife do the pose, as it's now known, with Dunk there.
Wait, which one?
That one right there, the one that.
Oh, to do that. No, I wanted him to do it to me.
Yo, you're next, bro. Everyone's next. At this point, I'm gonna go down the road and just be like, "Hey, dude, you know what? Let's take a picture together. But can we do the George Perez?"
You should make a story highlight that's just a compilation of all of the different ones you do.
Yeah, per con.
How about this one? Here's the gang shot.
Yeah, I can't even explain the amount of people who are here. We have Hannah, we have Lisa, we have Maggie Magazine, we have Q, we have we have Tyreek, whose birthday is today. We have Nate, Deshaun, Maddie, Zoo Girl. There's so many people on this damn thing, man. That was Sunday. That was Sunday.
Was this at Captured? Where is this?
No, we're so Laney and I were signing a bunch of books, where she was signing a bunch of books for Zerdy's Future Whatnot sales.
Okay.
And this whole crew populated, and it was a combination of like people that I know and that she knew, and then they were all like, "Oh my god, let's exchange information." And here's a bunch of influencers just hanging out on a table because of Laney, not me.
Nice.
And you're the default selfie guy because you're 8-foot arm.
Yeah,
he's got the go gadget
long arms.
Yeah, go gadget selfie. Wham! And there was a couple of pictures before that. There's horrible ones I took before that, but yeah, that was a good time. And that picture's actually circulating the interwebs right now because I captured so many people there. So that was fun.
Speaking
Sunday.
of Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, man, guys. If you're not following Allison,
that's the same Wonder Woman I posted earlier. This is the same person. It's crazy.
There's more pictures of this. Like her and I normally do photo shoots, and like by photo shoots is me posing like a dumbass and her looking amazing as she always does. I didn't send those other pictures though, but
she's so good. She could actually stand in a movie, like
with anyone.
Anyone. Yeah, anyone.
Yeah.
And it's her creating her own craft. Like she
could be David Bowie, could be Natalie Portman. She does it all.
Heath Ledger.
Oh, did you see her story where it was her and Hayden Christensen while she was
the lightsaber?
Yeah, with the lightsaber while she was Padme.
That was the third time they met because they met at Boston and then they met twice at this con.
I know, and in different costume every time. My wife sent me that newer one today, and I told her the same thing.
He's probably like, "What the f? Who are you?"
I think
You know?
I think he was just in shock as how much she looked like Natalie Portman in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was
She
just
has
like,
she has a rep now. She's been representing herself, so we're gonna see a lot more Comic Cons going forward.
Good.
Cool.
I
I'm
actually
looking
got her
forward to
to
that.
the way I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. We met at Washington Summer Con, and I said I go by Bat Fanatic, and she's like, oh right, yeah, okay. I said, but when we met, the significant thing is, you know my friend Dave, and he hadn't met you yet, and so I had you FaceTime him while you were signing the photo for him. And she's like, oh, I do remember that, because I think you guys wound up meeting like a month later at a different show or something like that.
We
But
met at Boston right after that.
yeah. But that was how I made an impression, was apparently you making an impression. So
Good. Use me.
here's another one that you gave me here.
Yeah, Dave, man. Dave is he works for Comic Sketch Arc. He's at this moment. This is Saturday. He told me in WickedCon last year on Saturdays he wears Hawaiian shirts, and I was like, all right, like yo, if you look right here, we're both standing up straight. He's about 6'3", 6'4". Another tall fellow Dave. And I said, you know what? On Saturdays, if you're around, buddy, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt too, and we have to make sure we take pictures together. So at this point, he's over at the Frank Miller line holding it down. And we saw each other, and he was like, "Oh, we got to take our picture together." And we took a selfie, and that's like a common thing. Anytime Dave and I are at the same con, I make
Nice.
sure that on Saturdays I wear a Hawaiian shirt. I kind of have to buy a new one, but everyone loves this Batman Hawaiian shirt because it doesn't seem like a Hawaiian shirt, Batman Hawaiian shirt, but Batman's very subtly in the shirt. So I have to buy a couple of new ones. But yeah, that's Dave, guys.
Yeah, he's a
Great
good guy.
human
He
being.
helped me out on Friday, and was one of the people that made my my Frank Miller story possible, which we'll get to later.
he,
Um,
I have a story about him as well, because last year, and I think Dave may remember this, I was carrying around a portfolio that I had my Jay Lee commission in,
Ooh,
and several other very expensive photo ops from like
from the
Charlie
week.
Cox, Vince D'Onofrio, Punisher, gosh. And I mean, I probably had $1,000 worth of stuff in my portfolio. And I got to talking with a writer, and it was the first day having this portfolio, so I really wasn't used to carrying it around like my
Yeah.
backpack. And I left it there at the table and left and went to another booth. And it was only until I bought a print and looked to go put it in my portfolio that I realized it was gone. Guess who found my portfolio?
Well, luckily your picture was in it.
Well,
There's like an
true.
ID.
Yeah.
That's pretty lucky, because if that was just a sketchbook, man,
Yeah.
yeah,
Con.
good luck proving that.
So yeah, he is a really good guy, and I owe him a lot.
Yeah, he's really funny dude. I remember when we first met, it was like he was like, "Yo, how tall are you?" And I was like, 6'7". And he's like, "All right, cool. He's like, I'll see you around." And I'm like, "Yeah, a lot of people do." And at WickedCon last year, that's when I was like, "Dude, where the hell you get this Hawaiian shirt from?" He's like, "I wear Hawaiian shirts on Saturdays." And I was like, "Oh, you know what, Dave? As a fellow Dave, let's do the Dave Tall thing." And now we do Hawaiian shirts on Saturdays at most cons.
Well-
Anyone is more welcome to join us.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless I was doing a Weird Al cosplay or something, I don't think I could really justify that one. Yeah, there you go. I did see an Ace Ventura cosplay at
Oh, it
this
was
show.
so
actually.
good. It was so good.
All right, so a couple more. You had some sketches here to show.
Yeah, Chrissy Zillow has been on my list for a really while, long time. I went up to her. Her prices went up, whatever. She has a rep, but whatever. Like, she is so iconic. I walked up to her with a Catwoman blank, a Harley Quinn blank, a Poison Ivy blank, and a Batgirl blank. Right, the four blanks I tend to want to work on. And she goes, "Ooh, I like this poison ivy blank." And I was like, "Yeah, most people do. I feel like I'm gonna finish this before everything." And she did this poison ivy for me, and it was stunning. I was like, you know what? It's so fitting to her. She even posted it on her page, and
Nice.
very happy with it, man. You know, it's another one down.
Yeah.
And she's so sweet, total sweet human being. You go up to her, and she normally has a mask on. She took her mask off to take that picture, and we took a selfie together with her mask off. Also, my Polaroid, because those
Yeah,
of you
that
who
was
don't
my
know,
move on this. This was a massive claustrophobic, uh, crowded con for me. So,
yeah,
if anyone's seeing all my unmasked pictures going, he really went to that fucking. No, I did not go like that. I took pictures like that.
yeah, she's known to always have a mask on, and I think I broke the ice this time around, especially when we spent $350 for a sketch.
Sure.
Um, and we, but she's known me and Chris Minga, her husband. We're all good friends. And I wasn't sick during the time period, so we got a lot of good pictures with our faces, and I'm happy with that. I'm so happy with that sketch. That's another one for the books.
And it goes very nicely alongside this one.
Ooh, baby. My homeboy Nathan Zerdy never fails. Dude, just like I asked him for the back row, and he was just like, his handler was like, "Oh, sure, he'll do that." And I was like, "Yeah," and I didn't ask him, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing with the back row?" He's like, "Oh, that's yours," and I was like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "Oh, I gotta make sure I finish it." And what he did was on Saturday, he took the first 2 hours of the con being open. So like I guess 9:30. No, he started signing at 11. So the first hour and a half, right? Because 9:30 is early, 10 o'clock was open. So he took the first hour and a half to actually try to catch up.
Mhm.
He signed no books or anything, and he started this on Saturday, and I was like, "Oh man, looks good. I'm so happy with it." And
Yeah, it's like
maybe he did.
almost full figure, nearly full figure, and it's full color. Like you put in time on this one.
Yeah, Zerdy at the moment he only charged 150. That's not a friend
Dude,
price or anything.
that's great.
Yeah. So I told him like, hey, I got a poison ivy from you. I got this Batgirl. I told him how much a Batgirl blank costs. It's very hard to get.
Yeah,
I told him, going forward, I want to get a a Harley Quinn and
got one.
a Catwoman. But I said I need to get a Supergirl eventually. Duh, right? For obvious reasons. So he was like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Oh, let me know if I go to C2E2. I hope to see you there." I'm like, "Nah, I have to go to C2E2 and get another sketch." So great job, Nathan Zerdy. For those of you guys who don't follow him, go give Zerdy a follow, man. His art's phenomenal. Such a great guy. Him and his sunglasses.
Yeah, I did point out to my wife. I was like, "He's wearing his sunglasses indoors at the signing," and she's like, "You do that all the time." I was like, "Cause I forget they're on the prescription."
Yeah, we went out to dinner on Sunday, and he put on like regular glasses for the first time. And I stared at him, and I was like, "This is the first time I've seen your eyes." I'm like, "Oh my god, they're so majestic," and just messing with him. And he was like, "Oh, really? You haven't seen my eyes yet?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude." Another great dude. We're so blessed to be surrounded by great people at these cons.
And speaking of surrounded by great people, can you explain what's
Oh,
going on in this one?
I have no idea what's going on. Let's see.
Yeah.
So for starters, right, I'm at my booth where I work at. I work for
This is your
Collectibles,
cosplay?
guys. No, so on Sundays,
It's
Zerdy's
light
team.
cosplay, very light cosplay.
Yeah, I'm Snorlax, guys. I'm tired of shit. Sunday, I want to sleep. But Zerdy's team tends to wear onesies on Sundays.
Okay.
And this is our second year wearing onesies. I'm saying we, like I'm part of the team. I am, obviously. But Maggie, uh, Zerdy's manager, has a husband who's 6'4", 6'5". So I'm wearing his onesie. And I'm walking around with the onesie, and here's 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 Darth Vader from freaking Rogue One hanging out at the Capture Collectibles
Wait, it
booth.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so many other things. He's been in so many movies, man. Such a massive dude. We met over at was it Rhode Island Comic Con in November, And we measured each other, and he was like, "You're 6'8", mate." And I'm like, "No, bro, I'm 6'7". And he's like, "No, you're 6'8". You better check with your doctor. I'm like, "You better check with your doctor, homie." And I saw him again, and we saw each other, and he's like, "Oh, mate, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, crap, whatever." He's like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm wearing a Snorlax onesie." And I was like, "Hey, is it cool we get a picture together?" He's like, "Oh, you work for this booth?" I go, "Yeah." And he was like, "Hell yeah, let's do this." And we took a couple of pictures.
That's
Man, this dude's
funny.
massive. Look at his arms, bro. I need to get my weight up. I need to start doing more bicep curls because next time I see him, I got to make sure that I one, not wear that onesie and show some biceps because man, that dude is jacked. He's been in a lot of movies. That's a great dude. He flew out. He had to leave at like 4 p.m. He had to leave at 2. He had a flight at 4. He was, "Hey man, I'll see you again at the next con, mate." And I was like, "Dude, such a cool ass dude." And of course, he's gonna recognize me because when else you get to see the top person that just shows up in a Snorlax onesie?
Yeah. So that reminds me of something. Speaking of Star Wars, because we were in line for Don Bluth. He was the only like celebrity person that I met. I got my Land Before Time signed because this was the first movie
VHS
that I ever owned.
Dude.
Yeah, first movie I ever owned. My parents bought this for me in September '89, which my mom was able to actually ID that because she married my stepdad September '89 and bought this for me on their honeymoon. So it was out for like a week. I've had this, and
That's an awesome story.
Yeah, and so it was sentimental. I wanted to meet him, right? And while we're waiting in line, we're near some of the Star Wars guys, and I think his name is Eunice, the guy who plays Chewie in like all of the newer movies, like Force Awakens onward. He was like doing a bit where you guys have seen those viral videos where it's like you're dragging a chair across hardwood and it vibrates and it sounds kind of like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is walking around with his stool in his hands. and like I was telling my wife, it's like there's no way I could ever do this justice, but we were just dying laughing. Like all the multiple lines around were laughing at this dude because he's like, "Hey Chewie, you want to go out for some lunch?" And he drag his chair. I'm like, "Oh, you've already had that today? Well, what would you rather have?" And like he just would not stop. And it was the funniest fucking thing. Like we're all standing there all sweaty and our feet hurt and our backs hurt. And like he's just entertaining the fucking line. And it was amazing to have the actual Chewie going through and doing that. Just awesome. For our amusement because everyone was bored. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Where is shit?
Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
Okay, well, I lost one photo as I'm queuing these up, and that's okay because I have the book in my hand that I can show you guys. That'll work. But
question: how big was the facility that you guys were at? Just so I can.
Dude, it was the biggest convention center I've ever seen. I got fucking tired walking around the thing, man. Like the first day we got let out on the wrong side of the building, and it took forever just to walk back around the building to get back to the, towards the hotel, man.
Yeah, Gramps, to give you a gauge, it was probably the entire Dallas floor plus 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's then fucking huge.
People try to tell me like, "Oh my God, this is the size of San Diego," and I was like, "No, it's not," because San Diego is twice the size of that floor.
That's insane, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's not counting upstairs or anything, like because Dallas there was upstairs, there was a downstairs, a small downstairs. San Diego has twice the size of the floor plus upstairs. And then Dallas has upstairs too for panels and stuff. But like, the main
upstairs
floor,
is small.
I'm only gauging the main floor, and it's probably the same size as Javits Center. Javits Center is a little bigger.
Okay.
But then Javits Center also has a downstairs and all that stuff. But just gauging it by the main floor, it's about 50% bigger than Dallas.
Okay.
It's insane. A lot of
All
walking,
right.
man. A lot of walking.
Yeah, dude. Incredible. Saturday, I did 28,000 steps. Fucking gnarly.
That's 17,000 dunk steps.
That's true. 5'9" steps are a little different. All right. So now we're going to get into the real shit, because here.
That wasn't it.
I'm saying that we got to see a lot of people have a lot of good times, but oh my God, this was like my biggest con ever in terms of the artwork, the sketches, the signatures. I'm not even going to go into at this point, but the guest list was so huge that if you just took the people who canceled, that would have already been bigger than the last couple cons I went to. So the canceled people that I was going to meet was Mike Mayhew, Gary Frank, Jay Anacleto, Mirka Andolfo, Natalie Sanders, Klaus Janson, and Chuck Dixon. And those are just the ones that I wanted to see. I'd also planned to meet Juliette Lewis, Cameron Monaghan, Ariel Diaz, Tyler Kirkham, Frank Cho, who I briefly spoke to, but he was leaving, Scott Hanna, Jeff Loeb, Tom King, Will Jack, and Art Germ. And I did not get signatures from any of these people. You'll see why.
You're busy, man.
The budget was at its limit. I was mostly bummed. Like, there were examples I could give of artists going above and beyond and hooking you up. And then there are other examples where that did not happen. And like,
the money at
kind of, but like, I catch Frank Cho. He's standing there bullshitting with, I think it was Ryan Ottley or somebody. He was near another booth, and I'm like standing at his table, and he's not there. He's standing at the other people's table, and I'm waiting and waiting, and it looks like he's leaving. And so I kind of run around the end, and I'm like, "Hey, it's too late to get a couple quick signatures." And he's like, "Yep, sorry, I'm gone." Okay, great. I'm like, well, those will go back to the hotel. And then Art Germ, he had a crazy line every time I went by, and I had a few books to bring, and with all of these, there were so many artists. All the things I had pulled to bring, I put half of them back before I even left because there's so many, right? Mm-hmm. And you got 10 books for each person or something. You can't do it. And so we finally see a shorter line for Art Germ. Run up there. There's like 2 people there. Great. And I don't even get up to him. His handlers come up and they're like, "Hey, are you buying something from the table?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I just want to get a couple things signed and get a remark on a sketch cover." And they're like, "Oh, well, unless you buy something off the table, he's not going to do that because right now is retailer only." And I was like, hang on a second. So if I want to actually spend more than any of these, $20 variants you have on the table and get art done, I can't do that. And they're like, "Yeah, you have to come back at a different time." I was like, all right, well, I'm running out of money here, so whoever is the next to take my money is going to be the one to get it, and that's what happened. But
his handler is gonna, man. Do I say it? Yeah.
I mean, okay. I was a little disappointed. Let's be honest.
His handler's gonna freaking outprice him out the game because there's this whole thing where he started charging vendors and stuff like double money.
Really?
For signatures and all this nonsense. And at the con, it came relevant. And listen, if you're watching and listening to me, hey, buddy, a lot of artists realize what you're doing. A lot of vendors will realize what you're doing. You're going to get less business to Art Germ because the chaos you created. And it's not fair. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to anyone that's just trying to get things signed. You don't have separate times for vendors. You don't have separate times for other people. Listen, people walk up to the table, take care of them. Take care of them.
That's what's crazy to me. That's what's crazy to me is that it's not like you go up to some artists and it's like, "Oh, I'm only sketching in this period of time, but I'll take your signatures any other time," right? Or something like that. Yeah. Makes sense. You're trying to get through the workload. I get that.
You have vendor times during attendee hours.
Yeah, see, but this is what I don't like is that the rules were set up so that it was between these hours I'll sign for fans, and then any hours retailers can come up.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but they're paying
dude,
double.
I know you're a you know, your bread and butter is like retailer exclusive variants and stuff, but it seemed crazy to me that like the fans only have these little windows,
Yeah.
an hour or so at a time, and
You're
then all the
missing- you're missing
vendors,
out.
the vendors who can catch you before they're open or whatever, like can come up anytime. And
But
so
now
that
he-
bothered
he
me.
doesn't-
And
he
also
doesn't-
just like, oh, well, are you going to buy one of these books? Because he'll do it if you do that. Or
Yeah,
did you
he-
bring stuff from home?
He
Like,
doesn't
well,
sign.
fuck you.
He doesn't sign
Paying for the signature.
He doesn't sign before the con opens either. It's weird. It's just like that's when you should do the vendors. Do the
Yes,
vendor
that's
stuff
what you would
early.
think.
Like that's what makes sense. And it's like I don't know. I can say a lot of bad things about the way they're being run. I'm just saying Art Germ really works with this guy, and he's giving him a lot of leeway. You're gonna price your way out of the market doing what you're doing. And
It's not
Good luck.
even that. It's not even the pricing because he was at the last Dallas con and yes, his line was always busy, but you're right. I mean, he had, posted certain times, certain this, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I've got other things to do
yeah,
than to wait around to meet your time slots.
Yeah, and I like his work, and I have a bunch of his covers, and I was hoping to get something from him, but also given the insane bench of talent at this show,
Yeah.
you're
the whole
secondary.
thing, it's not even that, because I don't want to say anything to discredit him, because like, look at his Instagram this weekend. He was posting so many amazing sketches, just cranking them out. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe how many, but like, the thing is, I'm not going to be able to get to everybody. Like I just
Yeah.
listed off a bunch of people that I brought books specifically for and blanks specifically
Yeah.
for, and I budgeted for it. But dude, you're trying to get whoever you can from your wish list here.
Yeah.
You have your priorities, but like, dude, we're not all made of money and time, like you're saying. If I got to wait
100%.
an hour to do that, well, I see this guy's open. I can go and get that right now.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to it, and I don't want to air this guy's dirty laundry out, but at the end of the day, it's like don't attend the hours. Take care of your attendees, man. Even if they're vendors, take care of everyone. They're going to stand in line. Take care of them. Knock it out. Move on. Continue forward.
Yeah.
Another huge loss, I guess, for me. People I want to get stuff signed for. Francisco Matina.
Mm-hmm.
He was another one to cancel last minute. I think he had like family emergency or something, and I was like,
That
damn it,
sucks.
I had like 12 books. I'm like, God damn it, I have to bring these back to the damn hotel, back to the Airbnb, but whatever. Yeah, that was someone else. But the RGM thing really bothered me.
Well, to change subject, I want to give Gramps the floor here because
Oh, no.
after your comments on the last episode, I happened by Jay Lee and nobody was at his table at the moment. And I was like, oh, hey, man. It actually looked like he was eating lunch. I said, oh, hey, man, my friend was just talking about you. He said that you did this awesome sketch of his dog in the bat suit. And he's like, in the bat suit? Oh, yeah, I remember doing that. And so there it is.
There it is.
I had to
there's
follow
Louis.
up and get that picture from you because, what a unique commission. It's amazing.
And he, like we said, he was more than happy to do it. He's a big animal lover. We started trading photos of our dogs and talking about our dogs, and even this last year, we got a second dog, and he was asking, "Oh, do you want me to draw her in a bat suit too?" I may do it at this next year if he's coming back, but
Nice.
yeah, there's Louis. It's so funny.
No, Louis.
So here's a bit of a surprise. Here's a person who was not on the list, or I guess briefly was on the list and was taken down. But I don't know if anybody but me knew he was there. Got to meet Clay Mann for the first time.
Nice.
Oh, he was walking around?
Look at his,
Yeah.
Look at the man boys.
Yep. I know he's a friend of your guys' show, Bat
Yep.
Force Radio. But yeah, it was my first chance to meet him. He has been working on a Phantasm piece for me for quite some time. and he was going to bring it to the show. And so, we were just texting like, when you're going to be there. And I hadn't heard from him in a couple days. And so I walked up to Mandy at Comic Sketch Art and I was like, hey, have you heard from anything from Clay? And she's like, no, why? And I was like, well, he's notoriously hard to get a hold of. And we were supposed to meet up here and I'm waiting for him or whatever. And like, he just steps out from behind her. He was standing right behind her and he goes, hey, I'm Clay. And I'm like, oh, well, hey, it's Sam. And I only said it because he's the one who was like, yo, I'm really bad at DMs, but like, just message me directly. Don't bother with CSA. Like, I'll get back to you. Just, it's way easier this way. All right, cool. But yeah, I'm standing there going like, well, he doesn't fucking respond, but he said he was going to be. And then he just, oh, hi. It was comedy.
He's like, yo, you talking shit, bro?
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, I got to see him for a minute. And then to rewind a little bit, before the con, they announced, and first of all, I mentioned this, that I was going because I heard that Jason Fabok was going to be there. And I've been trying to get a piece from him for literally years. Three Jokers was the thing that made me open a box at my local shop to become no longer a trade waiter, right? But an actual monthly reader of DC Comics. And so huge soft spot for Jason Fabok. And he never has any opportunities for like pieces by mail or anything like that. I've sent Robin Cross from the Bat Force to Toronto
to knock on his door,
to his table to check. I've sent Dave, I think, to his table in New York to check what he had, and finally I was like, fuck it. I hear the rumor. I'm flying out. We're going to do it. Right. And then they announced the whole Ghost Machine crew is going to be there. And I'm talking to Doug at Comic Sketch Art, and he's like, oh, by the way, they're going to do a private Ghost Machine dinner. Watch for the announcement. I'm like, oh my God. So it turned out to be a $600 ticket. And I know a few people who went, but I am trying to get sketches. I'm not trying to spend a bunch of my budget just doing that. And, it included a sketch, but it was like a randomized thing. So, I didn't do it. But Mike, who we talked about earlier, was like, hey, I'm going to this Ghost Machine industry mixer thing Wednesday night. I'm like, what? And so check this out. We get straight off the plane, drop our shit off at the hotel, and grab a lift. And here I get to meet Geoff Johns and one-on-one just hang out and talk to him for a while. And I get to, like, he's asking us about our trip and where we're from and talking to my wife and shit. And, like, it was amazing. He was so nice. And I got to ask him, I was like, dude, I am a huge fan. We both are of the Wonder Woman movies. But I've always had this question that did not make sense to me. In the second one, when she makes her wish, why does Steve Trevor come back in another dude's body? I do not understand. It's like, it seems like it could have been so much simpler. And he's like, oh no, there's an easy answer for that. Because I was like, is this a rewrite or did someone like, I don't get it. He goes, oh yeah, no, it's because it's the whole like monkey's paw thing. Like you never get exactly what you wish for. And so like, that was the way the wish was fucked up. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense because I've seen other people complain about it too. Like, well, how's that anyway? So that was the intention behind that. But I got to chat with him for a while, and he's like, "Well, who else are you here to meet?" And I was like, "Well, we came here for Jay, but I don't think he's here tonight." And he goes, "Oh, well, do you want to meet Brad?" And he walked me over, and he introduced us one-on-one to Brad Anderson, like best colorist in the game. Man.
Such a great guy.
So amazing. And so I got to stand and chat with him for a while. Told him I was hoping to get a piece from Jay, and I would love to have
is that Mike in the back?
Oh, it might be. It might be. It might be because we were. It was actually cold that first night. Everyone was wearing our hoodies and stuff. That could be him in the background there. It's hard to tell because he looks short.
Yeah,
but
he has the hat and the hoodie though. It looks like just like Mike.
But yeah, I'm so glad that I went to that because I didn't get to go to the dinner, but got to actually hang out with those guys. It was catered event, and like it was supposed to be only like a $35 ticket, but I wasn't sure, how long it was going to take to get from the airport to our place and all this. I didn't want to miss it, and so I tried to buy the ticket when we got to town, and it wouldn't let me. So we just went. I'm like, well, see what happens. And I told the door guy, I showed him on my phone. I was like, hey, I can't buy a ticket. I want to come in. And he's like, come right in. So
That's awesome.
We didn't even have to pay. We got a free thing. And
there you go.
Yeah, it was
don't
amazing.
be spilling out your secrets, man. Then everyone's going to do the same thing going forward.
Yeah.
I'm happy it worked out, dude.
Show up late. There you go. That's
you
the
were showing me
key.
pictures, and I was like, "There's no way." I'm like, "Good for him, man. That's awesome." Geoff Johns is a really great dude. I had a good chat with him last year at MegaCon, and
it was Wednesday night. Like the show hadn't even started yet, and I was already like, "Oh man, this is the best."
This is only the beginning.
So here was the next day. We went in 2 hours early because we had the 4-day pass, and so Jay's signing was at 4:30. And I was the first one in line, my wife and I, at 2:15.
Wow.
And we stood there that whole fucking time. And I think about 2:30, Mike showed up and Eric and everybody. But I finally got my hands on an original Jason Fabok Batman.
So you had your choice of everything he had available at the show.
I did. So what was crazy is, first of all, there's a new thing, and when you listen to me and Mike talk, you'll hear his side about it because he was not pleased. But there is a new thing that Comic Sketch Art is doing where you can spend a couple $100 and get a VIP card just through them that cuts the line at their artists. So I'm there at 2:15.
I had Disney Fast Pass.
Yeah, it's the Disney Lightning Lane, right?
Yeah.
For Comic Sketch Art. But like he was supposed to be there at 4:30. He didn't show up till 5. And in the meantime, between like 4:30 and 5, 2 different dudes show up and they just jam their bodies right in front of us. They don't say shit to us. They just like walk up, drop their stuff on his table and like kind of push us out of the way. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And everybody in the line behind us is getting mad because like this is, until Frank Miller came on Saturday, this was the biggest line I saw. Except maybe Scott Snyder, but I mean, yeah, this is one of the biggest lines I saw all weekend. And these dudes are just walking up the front, cutting the line. We're like, what the fuck? And I hear the guy go, is he taking commissions? And I was told in advance, no, he's not. But he should be bringing originals. He always does, right? So I just said, no, he's not. I didn't say the second part. He's probably bringing originals. And when Jay shows up, he was 30 minutes late because there was CattleCon in the neighboring hotel, and he went to some redneck farm con by mistake. A true story.
Which was the old building, to be fair. The old building was where the MegaCon used to be held.
Okay.
And there's a second building on the west part of the Orange County Convention Center that we were at now, which is weird because for the last 2 years, everyone's used to going to that old building where CattleCon was being held.
Yeah, it was funny. And so he shows up, and I see he's got his portfolio in his hand, and he just hands it to Doug at Comic Sketch Art, puts it to the side, and signs these dudes' books. I'm like, oh my God. Okay.
Oh my God.
They don't.
That's all they wanted?
Well, I don't know. But I'm like, they don't see it.
Keep it that way. Sorry,
Nobody
guys.
say anything. Because I flew across the country for this whole fucking thing to get one Batman from this fucking dude, right? And so we get there, and it's my turn. He signs my stuff.
So you turned into third in line. Is that right?
I turned into third in line.
Okay, third.
And I looked at my wife dead serious, and I was like, if these motherfuckers get my Batman sketch and there's not another one, I'm going to lose my shit.
Were you dead fucking serious?
I was dead fucking serious. And so
his wife is like, I've been standing here. You better fucking get one.
Yeah, seriously. And so it gets done. And I ask him what he brought, and he's like, oh yeah, I got a few over there. After I sign your stuff, if you just step aside and he'll show you what I got. I'm like, all right, cool. And so again, I've waited 3 hours, and then I step to the side, and Doug's like, okay, yeah, just give me like 20 minutes. I'm like, what? And I at this point I had no filter, so I said, I've been standing here fucking 3 hours. I feel bad now because like
he just snapped.
I kind of did, but he was cool. He was cool. He was very nice to me this weekend. Doug's great, but I was like, are you serious? And
I flew 3,000 miles.
Yeah, because I just wanted to see what he brought, and I knew too that Eric was behind me, and he's like, yo, he just posted these on Instagram. Are you gonna buy that one? I was like, fucking right, I'm gonna buy that one. Like, get back. Like, how many do you have? He's like, 4. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Get back. 4. And so
stay back there.
Yeah. And so basically, I wound up getting the only Batman that he brought.
Oh, congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, he brought 2 Rooks from Ghost Machine, and I've got the color emblem there. And 1 Wolverine that was like a full page. It looked like a splash page, and it was like $3,000 or something like that. But yeah, I way overspent because in the past I had an idea of what his sketches were going for, and they were usually like 9x12s or something. And so for the only one he brought to be 11x17, I was like, oh no, there goes somebody on my wish list for this weekend. So bye Art Germ, bye Frank Cho. Hey, got to do what I got to do,
Congrats, man. That's a huge piece,
that's
man.
Awesome.
That's like to add that to your collection, and with that story attached to it, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, man. And then having talked to Brad the night before, he was saying, he's like, yeah, I will. If you really, really want me to, I will cover that original. He's like, but I would rather you scan it and then I color that. And I'm like, okay, well, I tell you this, my whole wall, I've been copying all the things that aren't on sketch covers and making them onto sketch covers. Said, so would be super cool is if I had the original nice and big, and then I had you color, a version I copy onto a blank. And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So nice. We're going to work that out in the future. Really look forward to seeing what he can do to it. He did a couple of Frank Miller sketch covers that he colored this weekend that looked awesome. And then, as I was saying, tag teaming, multitasking, that long line enabled me to step away at one point and get this done while my wife held our place in the line. So Bill Morrison over with 4C Comics. I was a massive Simpsons fan as a kid. I got to talk to him a bit about it. And, I was telling him, like, I learned to draw with that Simpsons book. And he's like, oh, yeah, I worked on that book, And so, it was really cool. I bent the rules of my Batman collection a little bit to get the Bartman, but...
It's just one letter.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I walked by you when you were there, and I'm like, I'm not going to miss this experience. I'm going to keep on walking. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure he has his wife holding up that spot. And there we go. They verified everything I thought during that happening.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, he was a super nice guy. And it's one of those where I got to actually watch him work on it in real time, which is always cool. And this show is so busy that a lot of cases that's not possible. And so it was neat just to You know,
He
he had an interesting style of shading too. He would kind of like do his hatching down a line before he would go and fill in everything around it, which was interesting to watch.
He cranks them out, man. I worked for Captured at Baltimore 2 years ago, and we worked off of his booth, and just watching him is just like, he makes it seem so easy, you know, and it's a beautiful thing to see that.
Well, another that I got here, this was totally unexpected. We were walking around and I saw that Mike DeBalfo was open. He didn't have anybody at his table. And he said that his commission list was already full. And I started flipping through the original art portfolio on his table. I'm like, oh man, these are just amazing. And he's like, yeah, I might open up later this weekend, but it's hard to say. I'm full for now, And cut over to Marissa Pope. And she had a couple of pre-done sketches on the table. One was this Catwoman and another was Harley. But I love the kind of 60s style costume and just that face is just amazing to me,
Was she with Clay McDonald? That kind of looks like the sign behind her.
Yes, she is.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's like another great group of guys you want to find art. Clay McDonald, really great guys. That's awesome.
Bam. Yeah, like she does kind of my favorite style of female faces. Like I just those slightly exaggerated eyes, and like that Mike Turner kind of thing that I've talked about before. Just so good, so good. And then the only pre-show sketch that I had paid for was from Tony Daniel. And I had this City of Bane blank that I've been saving for a long time. And even though I have like an eBay Batman sketch from him and I have a remark that I got from his website, this is my first proper sketch cover and the first time we've got to meet. And so that was pretty exciting just to not only, well, Dave, you were there, right? When I first walked up to him because you're talking about, he's like, oh yeah, we were talking about indigestion, heartburn, all this shit.
Yeah, that was awkward. That was a great conversation we had in front of you and your wife.
Yeah. And she's like, oh no, that's the story of our lives, man. Because I get acid reflux and all that stuff too.
Yeah, we were in it again, and it was good. Here we go again. Last time I talked to you, we talked about this stuff, and here we are with the crowd.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
He's a great dude. Yeah, great artist, great dude. You could talk to him about anything. Legit, talk to him about anything.
So he did my sketch before the con. I dropped off the blank Thursday, and he did it Friday morning. But he intentionally left some like little embellishments that he wanted to do in front of me. And so we met him down there first thing in the morning, and he's like, oh, you want some red eyes? I'll give you some red eyes, And so cool. That was really cool. And got to see him put on the finishing touches, but yeah, it turned out awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Mike was super stoked on this too, because whenever we'd run into each other, it'd be like, "Oh, what'd you get? What'd you get?" And he even posted a picture of this one before I did.
Nice.
How about this next guy? We are going to cover some books from the One Bad Day series, and the final book in the run is maybe my favorite, and that is Tom Taylor and Ivan Reyes. And so I got my very first Ra's al Ghul. That was also my very first Bane. So actually expanding a little bit in terms of my my characters, not just trying to get, like we talked about, like I have so many Harley and Catwoman and whatever.
No, I love this selection when I saw this on your Instagram.
Yeah.
I love the selection, especially on a Batman detective blank, because he always calls Batman the detective,
Exactly.
I thought that was really cool.
I told him that's the reason I chose it too, because I was like, he always calls him the detective. And so I grabbed the cover that literally says the detective on it. And he was super nice. And I came up to him, and I think it was either late. I think it was late Friday. And I was, I was running low a bit by that point. And I thought I had enough, had about $300 left. And I was like, I have enough for the head sketch from him, which started at 300. But when I walked up there, he also had a remark for $100. And so I just asked him, I said,
using a pen?
That's a fucking Bic pen and a number 2 pencil is what he did. It's insane. And so I asked him, I said, what's the difference on your remark? Is it really small? And he says, yeah, it's pretty small. And he held his hands up, like a baseball. And I'm like, okay, well, I was hoping for something that was more the size of the sketch cover, Yeah. And I said, but if it's too small, I don't want all that blank space. And I showed him, I brought this one or whatever. I said, but, I could probably spring for the proper bust or whatever it was. And he grabs his commission list, the paper list and he goes, well, we could just add you to my list and I can get to it when I can. And hang on. And he puts the list down, grabs my cover, and just starts drawing. I'm like, oh, okay. And he just starts drawing. Yeah, basically. And I look at my wife like, he's okay. He's doing it. I don't know which one I'm getting, but I'm getting one. And then the handler walked up. And I could see already he's doing it a good size. And the handler walked up with the credit card machine or whatever. And he said, just charge for a remark. I was like, man, that's
what an awesome dude.
So
that's
nice.
Awesome,
dude. And you told him you wanted Ra's al Ghul?
I told him I wanted Ra's al Ghul because I told him how much I love that book. And I had him sign. I have this gigantic poster from One Bad Day that has every character and all of the writers and artists' names on there. And so I'm going to try over a long period of time to get everybody to sign it. And so far I've just got Mitch and Ivan to sign it. But I started by having him sign that and then ask about the sketch.
So awesome. How long did it take him to do that?
I have a video of that that's approximately 3 minutes long, and it didn't take much more than that. And it was cool because at first, like when you look at Bartman, for example, like this has the emphasis lines on the edges, right? And so I thought at first when he was doing this like shaded stuff, around it, that maybe he was just adding a little bit of, texture around it or something. But then he starts drawing all around it. I'm like, oh, he's doing the like fur on the collar and shit. And so then I got a clearer picture. It's just so cool to watch them do it from scratch. You're like, oh, what's that gonna be?
There wasn't a reference or anything. Like he's just like straight from the top of the dome.
He just busted it out. And actually,
amazing.
Chris from Batman Statue Collector, he posted his haul, and he also got a Ra's from him. His was similar, but it was more of like a 3/4 profile. And I think his was the proper bust. But it's cool because it had this same sort of like pencil shading and stuff around the edges, and like so again, most of it's on the Bic pen, but it's also got like in the hair pencil shading and just little stuff like that to give it some depth. But
3 minutes, come on.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably 4 or 5 minutes tops because I filmed most of it and it was brief.
Give me 15 minutes. Give me 15 minutes. I could finally finalize a happy face.
Now I'm still working on Sam's. It's going on about 2 months now.
Oh yeah. He's working on a little homage cover for me. I'm excited about that.
I ain't drawing anything for you, Sammy. Sorry.
So here is perhaps my favorite of the sketch covers that I got. I've talked about this for a while, wanting to get it. Ryan Ottley drew Czarface, which if you're a hip hop head, That's Inspected Deck, Esoteric, and 7L have a rap group that's all comic book themed called Czarface. And they recently did a graphic novel for it, and Ottley did one of the variants. And it was awesome. I love this group. They're my favorite group out. And Invincible, I even told him this. I was like, hey, my friend Ben pushed me to read Invincible. I'm strictly a DC collector. And it was the first series that I ever read as an adult that was not DC. And it blew me away. And, you know, I read like 10 of those trade paperbacks. And in fact, I went through his line asking if he would do a remark. And he was only taking remarks of Hulk, Spider-Man, Invincible, and Omni-Man. And so I'm talking to him, and we're talking about hip hop, and you know, he loved that I was asking about Czarface, but he's like, yeah, I only do those for remarks. And you know, his sketch covers were 5 times more.
Yeah.
5 times more. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't know. That's you know, gonna blow the rest of my budget if I do that. I don't know. But you know, we're just talking. We're not buying anything. I didn't bring anything to be signed, you know, because I didn't want to bring my giant hardcover Invincible from home. And he's just the nicest dude. And we're just talking. And we got like 20 feet away. And I turned to my wife and I was like, I got to do it, right? He's just so cool. And so I walked back to the end of that line and made it happen. And I was just blown away with what he did, man. It just so fucking gnarly. And
I think he gave you some extra juice.
Yeah, for sure. And I tagged the guys from Czarface, and Esoteric, one of the MCs, was like, yo, you got that? He did that for you? Like, you got to send me some close-ups of that. So once I get these down in my light box, I'm going to send that over to Esoteric. But yeah,
that's amazing, dude.
Pretty fucking stoked on this. And again, this is like, I'm really playing outside the rules of my my Batman collection at this point, but I had to do it. You know, it's the rapper in me. I had to do it. So I lost.
Chance of a lifetime, man. Chance of a lifetime. You got to break the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, otherwise I was gonna get an Invincible from him or something, you know, or like I've also seen him do a really good Death of the Family Joker. That would have actually been a good option. But yeah. This is just, it's so unique, and there's not a lot of these floating around, I'm sure, probably from anybody. But Anthony Marquez is somebody that I went to.
That's a great dude.
Yeah, and his shit is that like Mazzucchelli meets Bruce Timm kind of simplistic, shadowy, just awesome Batman. And
he draws for Batman Audio Adventures, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love his style. Yeah.
It's amazing. And once they came out with these year 1 blanks, I was like, oh man, Dave offered, if there's any blanks you need, let me know. And he brought me this one so I could bring it to Marquez. And I was looking around, and he didn't have a booth in Artist Alley. And eventually I found the Kubert School booth that he runs, and he wasn't there.
He was so busy doing panels and stuff, man.
Well, I messaged him, or I replied to his story that night. That's what it was, because he had said, hey guys, sorry, I was feeling sick today, but I'll be back tomorrow to do a couple panels. And he didn't say if he'd be at the booth. And so I hit him up. Hey, I looked for you, blah, blah, blah. He goes, all right, man, I'll be around. So my wife and I checked that booth 3 or 4 fucking times on Friday. And he was never there. And finally caught up with him. He was feeling better. And by this point, I was truly spent. And the way I kept track of my money on this trip is that it was a cash trip. So I knew, based on what was literally in my hand, this is all I got left. And so I went up to him and I was like, oh my God, I finally found you. I was like, dude, you know, I'm the one who was DMing you last night, whatever. I'm down to my last $60, but I would love to just get a quick like remark from you on my year one. And he more than delivered.
Yes,
for
I'm
that.
jealous of you.
He's like,
That's
I
like,
got
that's
you.
like Cook.
Don't
Like,
worry about
it's
it.
like, fuck. So
And
good.
when I went back to pick it up, he goes, yeah, I would have done a little bit more if I had my supplies. I'd like to add the little whites, the little white embellishments, kind of like we saw Tony Daniel doing, little
Yeah.
whiteout pen. He's like, but I think it's pretty good. I'm like, pretty good. This is fucking awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, talk about the best deal of the trip,
Golly.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy, and he's been telling me to go down to the school and visit the school in Jersey, give me a tour and stuff. He did this outfit for me.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, back at the ZapCon that he signed, and I'm like, yeah, how much for the outfit? He's like, dude, you kidding me? I'm not going to charge you. And I'm like, I should have bought a blank.
Yeah.
But he's a really, really good friend. And the guys that work at his booth are two guys who graduated from the school that are working on being inkers and artists as well. And
Nice.
they're gonna jump on projects that he's working on. He's one of those guys that he brings his team with him, and everyone wins. And he's such a humble dude. He's very close friends with Lee Weeks.
Oh, cool.
And like Lee Weeks does a lot of things with him in the school and all that stuff. And it's like, oh wow, so you have a legend with you, and like you're like legend status too, and you don't even know it. Like we respect your art so much, and anyone who knows about him,
Yeah.
he's easy, a very approachable guy. He'll talk to you about anything, and he does things like that, man. Great guy. Shout out to Ant, man.
Yeah, and
Cobra School.
I followed him for quite a while, and so many of these artists I don't never necessarily get a chance to meet. They don't come to the Northwest or whatever, but I've just admired their art online for so long that it's like, oh my God, and he's gonna be there too. Like I gotta get something from him. And I originally was gonna bring because when I was doing my con prep, I took out all my blanks and I labeled each one with masking tape. This one it says Sabine Rich, and this one says Anthony Marquez or whatever, right? And I wrote on all of them. And I took out my Batman The Adventures Continue blank, and I put that on there. And then when you offered to bring anything, I was like, oh, you got a year one? Because I thought that would be even better, right? And I regret not bringing that Adventures Continue, though, because I think his name is Peter Smith, who's a great, cartoonist sort of artist, does amazing work on the animated series style, and he'll do Looney Tunes and all kinds of different shit. But I ran into him as well, and I didn't have my my other blank with me because I swapped it for this one. But God, there were just so many amazing people there.
And you did all this in like 2.5 days?
2.5 days, because I mean, I run out of money so fast. It's like, okay, we got this one, I got this one, I got this one. And so I mentioned while we were in line for Jason Fabok, I went and got that Bartman done in real time. So I didn't want to keep my wife waiting there too long, which was funny because I get back and her name is Ange. She goes, these guys are all bitching about their wives and how they would never come to the con, or they'd slow them down or whatever. And she's like, fuck that. Like, he's got to keep up with me. She's like, he wouldn't be here without me. I was like, yeah, no shit.
She's a trooper, man. She's a trooper, dude. Oh, yo, kudos to your wife, man. She was out there. She was putting the miles in the aisles.
She was. And so when I dropped off, or not even dropped off, when I got that Bartman done, I was like, okay, I don't want to keep her there any longer, but I'm just going to drop off one more blank. And so I went over to Sabine Rich, and I dropped off this White Knight Harley blank. And she had, I knew she had an open list beforehand, but she also will do these like $150, like $200, kind of simple sketches that just look amazing.
That's simple.
I had came across no. I had come across her actually from someone selling one of her sketches like that on eBay, and it was insanely overpriced. It's still on there. This person's asking $1,000 for it, for a basic, line sketch.
Graded?
No, and I'm like, I don't know what this person's doing, but anyway,
that's what they're doing. Crack.
I was going to. So I had money that I was going to spend on a couple different Harley artists, right? It was going to be Sabine Rich, Natalie Sanders, and Will Jack. And Natalie Sanders canceled, and Will Jack basically just said no, which that's another story. But at that time, I'm going like, okay, well, I'm going to use that extra money I was saving for Natalie Sanders, whatever, to upgrade to the full color Sabine Rich, because she's a colorist. That's what she does. And so I do not regret for a second getting the full works here. It took a while because that was like, that was before opening. That was probably 3:00 on Thursday, and I didn't get it till Saturday at noon. But it was just
that's amazing,
tremendous. Wow. And she painted the background too. It's got that purple over the pink, and then went over it, and it's just amazing.
I looked at that picture when you posted it in one of the sketch forums and Facebook.
Yeah,
I saw you had Anna behind that, and I just met Anna at dinner when I had dinner with Zerdy.
Oh, funny!
And I was just like, "Oh man, she has great art." I'm like, "God damn it!" Now I'm gonna start bothering her for sketches and stuff because I'm like, I saw her art, I saw Anna's art, and I'm like, through your post
in the background,
like,
on the banner.
And then here I'm talking to her, and I'm like, "Oh, you're screwed now." Wait till you see my blanks, lady.
And so the last sketch that I picked up was someone who I met at, or rather, I had planned to meet 6 months ago at Rose City Comic Con, and I had just got laid off, and I just couldn't buy any sketches that day. So I was so happy when she came to MegaCon Orlando, so I could get a Supergirl from Sora sung.
Oh, that looks so good.
Dude, her line work is so clean. Yeah. Her faces are so beautiful. Like, oh man. I got to actually watch her work on this a little bit too. And actually, let me rewind, because a few different artists have been extra complimentary about the piece that I happened to get from them. She said, we really like how this turned out, like her and her handler. He thinks it's one of the best faces I've drawn in a long time.
Oh, wow.
And I would like to make prints out of this. And if I do, I'll send you one for free. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And so she was really happy with it, which makes me even happier with it. And Jason Fabok had said something similar, because I was, in and around Artist Alley over and over again. And when I had Brad Anderson sign a couple of my books, they were all leaving to go to that big Ghost Machine dinner, the invite only thing. And I caught Brad on the way out, and he remembered me from the mixer thing on Wednesday night. And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." Busted out my cigs really quick, and as I'm putting my stuff away, I thought they all left, and I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's Jason Fabok. And he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to say thanks again for picking that up. I was really busy earlier, didn't get much time to talk, but I really appreciate it. And this is one of my favorite Batman pieces I've ever drawn, and I'm really glad that you have it." I was like, fuck.
He's so Canadian.
But how lucky that
thank you, lad.
All these dudes are all these artists are like, "Oh man, I feel a connection to this thing that you got." Dave, you've talked about that before, like watching someone draw a thing and then kind of taking a beat of and Sabine too was like, "Oh yeah, I took a good photo of this because I really like how this turned out."
You got some of those pieces that you could really tell those artists put a piece of their soul into them.
Absolutely.
You know? And I mean, that's really what makes that art shine. I mean, you showed that Supergirl. She knows that she nailed it on that one, and
yeah.
and
It's
really
easy to give it it's easy to give it away and be like, hey, give me your money here.
Yeah.
But then it's like when it's harder, like, oh my God, like I really invested.
It's almost
time
like
in
they
this.
didn't want to even let that go to you because they knew they really nailed it, and they put a piece
like,
of
I'll
their
do another
soul
one
in there.
for you.
Yeah.
I'll do another one for you. I could keep this one, but you know, like it's a when you give the artist opportunity or something that they really enjoy drawing, it's a different experience than just saying like, hey, this is what I want.
Yeah. And also, I think we talked about this before, but picking the right character for that person. And I remember seeing on her Instagram a couple process photos of a Supergirl, you know, like a year ago or something, and just being like, oh my God, if I ever meet you, that's what I'm getting, you know, because I think it's better to give them a reference of their own work, you know, that you can point to of like, I love what you do. And I want you to do something like that. And so for her to say like, oh yeah, I like this enough that I actually want this to be my Supergirl that I have on the table for sale in reproduction is like, fuck yeah, that's incredible. You know,
that's awesome.
It just shows like, yeah, if you choose the right thing that they're, you know, most good at, then you're going to get the best result. You know, same thing with Ottley is like, oh, when does he ever get asked to do that?
Never.
Now, the last couple ones we're going to do. So that's my whole sketch haul. Craziest sketch haul ever. The only exceptions are I still didn't get the Clayman piece. And there's a story there.
When it comes to Clayman, there's plenty of stories.
That I don't.
Clayman, we love you, buddy. But you know,
I don't know if I don't know if I should show it here. There's an incredible sketch that he handed me the next day, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And but I had this
like, "That's not yours."
Reaction of hesitation, and he's like, "Oh shit! It was supposed to be on a blank, wasn't it?" And I was like, well, yeah, yeah." And it had background and like a format that was like there was no fucking way. After I took everything off of this wall in this room, there's just no. I'm looking at it going, this is like this would be one of the nicest pieces I walk away with all weekend. And yet he's right. Like, yeah, that isn't what I asked for. And I felt insane like letting it go. But he was immediately like, oh shit, you asked for. Okay, no, don't worry. I'll redo it. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I asked him if I could take a picture of it just so I can, you know, mourn the loss of it. But yeah, so now he's redoing it on my blank. But yeah, the other one that I paid for was John Boy Myers. And I did meet him in Portland, but it didn't occur to me the right character at that time. And we're talking about how important that is, right? Because this shit's so stylized. And I had a few in mind. I was like, I just don't know with this guy. And more recently, I saw that he had a variant cover for Godzilla versus Justice League or whatever it is. And I love Godzilla. Godzilla -1 was my favorite movie last year. Like, anyway.
Did you just see the -1 color version?
No, not yet. I've heard that it's
amazing.
Yeah,
it's probably even better.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess it makes sense being a period piece and everything that could add to the vibe. But I was walking around and I didn't do any digging at this con because every dollar was spent on sketches.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, I would love to do it. I love trying to find, you know, I think I walked by and sniped like 3 or 4 blanks that were just on a display. But other than that, I didn't do any digging. And I was walking by this place, had a bunch of blanks out, and the guy asked me, "Hey, is there any others you looking for? I got some that aren't on display." And I say, "Yeah, DC blanks. That's what I'm here for." And he starts pointing out and listing off some things that aren't out. And he goes, "Oh, like this one. So Justice League versus Godzilla." And he's like, "I got a blank from this." I'm like, "No shit." And he's digging around for 10 minutes and can't find it. And the other guy comes back to the booth and he starts digging and they can't find it. And he's like, "Tell you what, if I find this fucking thing, you come back tomorrow, I'll give it to you for free." And so, sure enough, the next day, I walked by there, found it, had my name on it, gave it to me for free. So I walk over to John Boy Myers, add myself to the commission list, give him my money, and then he says, "Okay, we got about 8 more sketches in front of you, so I'll probably just have to mail it to you." I'm like, "Well, fucking lead with that information." What the hell? And so, I probably could have got my Ariel Diaz or my Tyler Kirkham, or, maybe gone back to that art germ table. I don't know. But, I look forward to seeing what he does to it, but I can't share it with you now.
Man, I was waiting for it this entire time. Like, oh, he has another one? Oh, sweet. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, nope. Neither have I. Neither have I.
Thanks for that.
but
not gonna get those 5 minutes back.
Hey, we're talking about our trip, man. So the next couple ones are our last couple, and they are sketches that I got last year by mail, but I'd never met the artist. And so the first one is Mark Silvestri, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, had this done through Comic Sketch Art at Fan Expo Denver last year, and they mailed it off to me." And he goes, "Oh, I actually remember working on this one." And he was very nice. He told me that I had the coolest hair at the convention, which was, generous, I'll say. But yeah, super nice guy. And
he had a long ass line all week as well.
Yeah, I was very lucky because on Thursday he had a hell of a line, and it was kind of one of those, like, we're just doing laps and seeing whose tables are open, and we managed to get in while he was. I think he only had one person for a moment. So
did he do any additional work on your sketch there? Or you just
no. He did sign. I have another full size poster from Deadly Duo, and so he signed that in a big fat paint marker. But yeah, I brought this with me just so I could snap a pic with him, and the same thing that I did with this person, the grand finale,
of course.
Mr. Frank Miller.
The best Frank Miller photo I've seen with anyone.
Oh my gosh.
And what a story this one, man. And I've
been waiting. Come on.
I feel like people are mad at me over this one, man. Like, look, look at that. Like, I posted my whole haul, and I just included Silvestri and Frank at the very end. I was just like, oh yeah, and also took these pics from sketches I got last year. And I had this dude be like, "Man, I bought multiple sketches from this guy, and they do not look like that. How did you get yours to look like?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I just fucking
you picked the right character."
Well, I mean, yeah, that could be part of it. But yeah, dude, I hit them up as soon as I got this thing. It was 2 days before Christmas. I said, "Hey, this is amazing. Thank you so much." He forgot to sign it. Can I bring it to MegaCon, have him sign it, maybe take a picture? They said, "Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem." And so go there, and you could see what I'm wearing is that Comic Sketch Art VIP badge that I was just complaining about, because so I didn't buy this to cut people in line and be lazy. When I went up to them and reminded them that I was coming for this, they were like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Here, take this and take a 1 signature card." Because everything in Frank's line is ticketed, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so just take these, meet us back here by 11 and we'll make sure you get taken care of, which as far as I'm concerned is a totally different thing than like, I'm just buying this fucking fuck you pass. It's like, oh, hey, I dropped a lot of money on this and it's incomplete and they're going to help me out. Cool. Yeah. I don't feel bad about that.
They fix they right the wrong.
Exactly. And so we go up there and it kind of worked out great because there was only one CGC witness there. And this is the longest line I've ever seen at any con ever. And it just snaked around the entire artist alley way down into the main area. Like it was fucking huge. He was only there one day. And
that's what he does.
Yeah, and so we're getting up there and there's a lag because all the people in front of us are waiting for this one CGC guy and they're starting to push back the existing line. And so we kind of just sneak in, it's our turn, and we're just talking to him. And he's like, oh, I remember this one. And someone was like, yeah, didn't you just do that? He's like, yeah, I can't believe I forgot to sign it, And it does his signature on there. And he looks up to my wife and, because he's kind of hunched down, his neck's kind of like that all the time. And he had mostly just been looking down at the books and signing them, They hand him a book, he signs it. He doesn't really look up that much. But he looks up and he sees my wife and he's like, oh, did he drag you along to this thing? And it's like, man, he better take you out to a nice dinner after this and make it up to you, whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, we had our nice dinner last night, actually. And so he's chatting it up with her for a second. I was like, oh, man, that's so cool. And, they had told me, look, you can't take the picture here. Like, there's hundreds of people in this line. That's just going to fuck everything up, because everyone's going to start asking for it. They're not going to understand my situation was a different thing and they're making it up to me, whatever. And so he said, come back at the panel at 6:00. Mind you, it's 11:15 in the morning and we're done. I just got my last 2 pickups, and we're done. And so he's like, yeah, come back at the panel. This is
Saturday, right?
Saturday. Yeah, he's Saturday. Like, come back the panel at 6:00. I said, okay, so I catch you right beforehand. He goes, no, after. I'm like, at 7? 7's when they close. He's like, yeah, be there by 7. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. And, the deal was that we were going to go to MegaCon the first 3 days. And then the last 2 days, we were going to go to Universal and Disney World. That's what my wife wanted to do. And so I was like, well, fuck, let's go to Universal now. And so we left there at 11:30, 12, went to Universal, did all this shit, got a lift back because I didn't have my backpack full of comics with me at Universal. So we had to get a lift back to the hotel, had to go all the way up, grab my Marv, and by then it was like 6:30. Because we had to wait for traffic and wait for the ride, and it's cutting it close.
Crazy in MegaCon, man.
Right. And so Mike had got a couple last signatures for me on my other books as well. So he's waiting for me, and I got to meet, Frank before the end of the panel. And so I am exactly 1 mile from the convention center, not to mention how fucking big it is inside. I haven't even jogged, maybe to run away from a bee that was chasing me or something, in 20 years, right? And right outside our hotel, you turn the corner and there's a bridge that goes to the convention center. So I had to sprint with my $1,000 Marv sketch in my hand and a top loader, courtesy of Jonathan and Tara Glapian. Thank you for that. And sprint up this fucking bridge. I'm dying. I can't breathe, and I'm all sweaty. I'm like, this picture's going to be disgusting. I'm sure I look horrible, I'm running and running and running. I finally get to like the crest and it's so steep. I can't, I'm breathing fucking anyway. I run the whole fucking thing and I make it there. I can't find Mike. He's calling me on the phone. He's like, I'm down the bottom of the escalator. I'm like, I'm at the fucking bottom of the escalator, man. I can't find you. And so,
Wrong escalator.
Exactly. And so anyway, we fucking find each other, sit down for a quick second. He hands me my books and he's like, hey, I know exactly where they are. I'll take you up. Get in there. There's probably a couple hundred people in this panel. It's pretty big. I'm like, oh shit. I don't see any of the guys from Comic Sketch Art. I'm like, how the fuck is this going to happen? So I just walked all the way up the side of the room. And, there's a couple people sitting side stage. And I just whispered like, hey, have you seen Doug from Comic Sketch Art? And she's like, no, I should be here. She's texting him. She's, follow me this way. She's taking me, like, looking around, opening doors backstage. No, I don't see him. Okay. Mandy from Comic Sketch Art shows up. Oh, hey, Sam. I'm like, okay, I'm on first name with these people now. Great. And then Doug comes in right behind. And he just kind of gives me a wave and a nod, like, I got you. I'm like, all right, cool. As soon as the panel is over, they walked me backstage, and I was the only person there. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, this is like some VIP deluxe shit, And I'm looking around, and I'm in a dark hallway that's all concrete. It's like when you see backstage on like an arena rock video or something, right? And there's a go-kart and, like, just like, it's very weird. And again, I'm sitting there by myself. And so they walk Frank back there after the panel, say, hey, we're going to take a picture with Sam now. And she has my phone in her hand, the handler. And she turns over and starts talking to the other people. And so me and Frank are just standing there alone while they're all talking over there. And I'm like, this is so surreal right now. And so, just start talking to him for a minute. And handler comes back and we're standing there just like this. And she doesn't take the picture. She goes, oh, you got that one? Oh, man, you got the good one. And she's like, I remember he just did that. And he goes, the good one? They're all good ones or whatever. And she goes, well, you know what I mean. That's a really good one. And he goes, okay, yeah, actually, I really like that one too. And I was like, fuck, dude. So when I opened this thing in the mail and I was like, okay, please be awesome. Please be awesome. And it was fucking awesome. I love that even himself is like, okay, yeah, you're right. It is kind of like fucking, one of the most memorable ones, I should say. And so, we take the picture. I told him, like, this is, probably my favorite piece in my whole collection. I love this book so much. And, I was blown away that this is the one that I got, and he was very gracious, very kind. It's so weird that a guy who writes such big, tough characters is so soft-spoken and kind. But
he's actually pretty funny, His sense of humor, he's got a very New York sense of humor, but I mean,
someone has a sense of humor because you sent me this picture, and
well, that's a whole different story.
I don't think it could be more perfectly posed by this photobomb of the fist here. Is this Aquaman's hand?
Yeah. So that's in 2018. Yeah, that's in 2018 at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And DC, South by Southwest is a 2-week festival for film and art and music.
Yeah.
The first
I was probably there.
The first week is always the film part. And DC and Warner Brothers had a huge display with all of the Batmobiles.
Right.
The
I
big Superman
year.
statue, Jim Lee, Frank Miller were there. Free autographs by Frank Miller and Jim Lee.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. My wife and I went down there for this, and we were talking about it's cool when your wife goes with you because you got a teammate, and
yeah,
you could have 3 signatures per person. So I picked the 6 books that I wanted. And here's what's crazy. There were only probably about 50 people in line.
Dude, that's nuts.
So,
and I can see you got your complete Frank Miller Dark Knight hardcover that you showed me before.
Yes, and you can also see that I'm wearing the T-shirt of...
Oh, yeah.
Triumphant.
Yeah, Triumphant. And first thing he says is, I like that shirt.
Nice.
And I was like, I wonder why, but
yeah.
I wanted my wife to take a photo, right? This is her camera.
Mm-hmm.
And we get back to the hotel and she's like, oh my God. Don't be mad.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what? And she showed me the photo because it was on her phone.
Mm.
I just busted out laughing because, what else can you do?
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
And you could see the hat around the finger there. It's just,
Yeah. Yeah. So, because if it was my camera, my phone, I would have checked the photo immediately, but it was her phone.
Yeah. Or you take, 5 or 10, Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my once in a lifetime opportunity there.
We're supposed to be in Dallas this year, buddy.
Actually,
I'm taking the picture this time.
Yeah. Actually, a few months later in New York, we went to go to New York Comic-Con and just go to New York. And he was doing a signing with Capullo, Tom King, and I think Scott Snyder at a Midtown Comics.
Nice.
Well, our flight came in. Our hotel was downtown in the finance center, close to Wall Street. And I was like, we're not going to have time to go to Midtown Comics for the signing. So we went to the hotel. I forgot to pack a pair of jeans. All right. So we went to this department store that was close to the hotel. And I swear to God, I was like, do any men in New York City wear above a size 30 waist? Because they didn't have any jeans that were above size 30. God. I was like, what is up with these? I guess everyone there just...
Children's sizes?
Yeah, it was kind of like almost like the Seinfeld episode where he's like, I don't wear a size 30. No. And so I had to fit my fat ass into some, I found some jeans, but man, they were tight. Well, it just so happened that there was a Midtown Comics store in the financial center, 2 blocks away from our hotel.
Oh.
I go there. That's where they're having the signing.
Oh my God.
So I got to sit there and listen to him talk, shake his hand. I literally almost watched Frank Miller die because that Midtown Comics has a steep staircase.
Oh.
Right in the middle of it. Dave knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, someone downtown.
There's a rug in front of the stairs, and he tripped on the rug and almost did the Batman Superman shadow down those stairs.
Jesus.
We caught him.
Really?
Yeah, we caught him.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy.
Man.
Otherwise, you never would have got your sketch.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
You're welcome.
You better thank Gramps for that one.
Yeah, Lee.
Fuck. Well, yeah. I do want to thank Doug and Dave and Mandy, everybody at Comic Sketch Art for helping me out with that. Really, just made already my best con ever even more spectacular because that was the very last thing that I did before we headed out to Disney, did all that whole thing. And
nice.
Yeah, it was just amazing trip. I'm so glad that we went. And again, even with all the amazing people that canceled, it's like I can't imagine having the time or money to get to them as well. So I'm thinking that it didn't hurt that I reminded them of the Frank Miller thing after I had just bought the giant Fabok and the Ottley and all these other things from them, the Tony Daniel, the Ivan Reyes, all these things. But I've been pretty steadily, buying commissions from them for years at this point. So I'm grateful for the recognition. I know Dave knows everybody. I don't get around quite as much, so it's nice to finally have some more faces to the names. And it just they really made the whole thing happen. Like to have this in my hands right now, and to have that picture. And I'm a notoriously bad picture taker. I mean, you saw the picture of me with Geoff Johns. I'm just like, that's all I got. Here. That's all I got, man. And luckily, for some fucking reason, my iPhone was on live photo setting. And so his handler took 3 shots of us, and they all basically looked the same. But I started going through the little live photo thing. And there was a spot where I think I laughed or something, and it was just like one frame. I was like, oh, shit, that's the great one. Yeah, man. So just so many little reasons why I lucked out. But shout out to CSA. Shout out to Mike, the Sig Slayer from Stash Wars. Shout out to our good friend Dave here on the podcast. Shout out to Gramps for saving Frank Miller's life.
Shout out to that bridge you had to run on.
Yeah, seriously. And
shout out to them shoes that your wife had to wear to hold her down, dealing with your going back and forth.
Shout out to the MVP, who is your wife.
Yeah, man.
Yes, absolutely.
It was great meeting her. By the way, it was awesome. She's just a true trooper.
Yeah, man, she was all about it. Like I was probably complaining more than she was,
She was she was just standing there like, all right, cool, another line that I'm hanging out with my husband. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes the whole thing so much more enjoyable, honestly.
It's a beautiful thing.
And then we can go back to the room and make tomorrow's plan and look at everything we caught today. And, it was just, it's cool because I'm always just in my head doing that shit by myself. But yeah, and then one more shout out to Eric Lau for the heads up on the possibility of Fabok coming out, because that's what got me here in the first place. So yeah. Anyway, I'm tired of shit. You're sick. We all just got home. We're coming down from it, and I got to start paying this one off, but I can't wait for the next con. So.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you guys. One? The next one? Oh, fuck. I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna keep it close to home.
Dallas. Oh.
No, I'm gonna keep it close to home, I think, and return to Washington Summer Con, which they just announced Ryan Ottley, which is cool. Means they're gonna bring some heavy hitters again. I've met Capullo there. I've met Snyder there. I've met McNiven there, Mitch Gerrits. I mean, they've had great talent. And then also, hopefully, because I'm not going to get to Emerald City this year. It's coming up in just a few weeks, but Babs Tar is going to be there. I really want. She canceled last time I was there, but probably missed that one. And I'll do SummerCon and Rose City in the fall, because I gotta recover from this one. I went all in. This was my biggest con ever. Okay, it's gonna be the biggest con ever. Then let's fucking do it. So
it's a big con, man. When big cons, you spend big money, and I'm happy you had the experience you had, dude. It was great to finally meet.
Absolutely.
It was the overall MegaCon's where it's at. It's the 3rd biggest con right now, and you experienced every little bit of it.
And shout out to Rich from Fan Expo. I'm glad I got to run into him for even just a moment, because
he's busy.
These guys bringing their A game for MegaCon.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Awesome.
All right. Well, guys, that is our show. If you like it, drop the comment and like and all that shit. Subscribe to our podcast, the audio version. However you listen to your podcast, drop us a little rating review. Let people know what you like about it. And we will be back with a proper season 4. We just had these 2 Comic-Con reviews we wanted to get out of the way, and then we will be back with our comic reviews as we are wont to do on this show. So as I botched last time, stay tuned, not for the One Bad Day Riddler, as I said, but stay tuned for Paul Dano's Riddler Year 1.